Hello, I am Emily Hazard.
And I'm Oprah.
And this is a podcast.
I'm Becca Anderson.
And this is Grey's Anatomy Uncut, a podcast where we discuss and analyze episodes of Grey's Anatomy. Season 2, episode 24 is the one we're on today. It's called Damage Case, which was a song originally sung by Motorhead. The original air date is May 7th, 2006. Written by Mimi Schmier, yes. Directed by Tony Goldwyn, and it was 21.99 million viewers, which is up from last week.
Holla.
Holla back, yo. Actually, I do have a little bit of follow-up today, just a short one. For whatever reason, if this is like your first episode or something, or like your first one in a while, and you're confused on what the hell that sound effect is that we keep playing in the background, it's something that we lovingly call the Callie tally, and it's, instead of just saying every single time that Callie annoys us, we just play this sound effect. Because it's just easier. Honestly, it's just going to save us all time, and yeah.
And I think another thing to mention about Callie is that even though, like, we have this, and obviously she annoys us, she is a really good plot device, and she has, we were talking about last episode, she gets George over Meredith, but then she also kind of becomes this person kind of in between George and Izzie.
Yeah, she's like
a wedge in their relationship.
She's a wedge.
So I think I think just need to say, obviously she isn't our favorite character, but I think we can both agree that she
is necessary.
Yes, she was a good
Addition.
Mm-hmm. She had reason. And later on, we'll get characters that we don't like addition-wise. And we'll talk about that when we get there.
That have no purpose and are just annoying as fuck.
And so even though we're like, ugh, Callie, it's like, we understand why she's there, and she was a good thing for the writers.
Also, she's just really fun to, complain about.
She really is.
It's so much fun. Ugh, yes.
She is. Try it.
Yeah. Believe us. So, why don't you take it first?
Mm-hmm. So I feel like lately we have been talking endlessly about how amazing Katherine Heigl is. And of course she is, no doubt. But this episode is almost like Ellen Pompeo being like, hey, this show is called Grey's Anatomy, not Steven's Anatomy. Honestly, this whole episode could have just been her speech to Derek in the stairwell, and I would have been completely happy. Just kidding. But seriously, Ellen Pompeo just murders this episode. I mean, that speech alone is amazing, but then there are so many other instances of her facial expressions and her interacting with other characters that's just so great. I also really like the comparison between this surgical intern from Mercy West who causes the accident, and that it gives all of the interns the whole kind of what if it was one of us mentality. And you get a little bit more of that storyline, and then he also has kind of a connection to the interns that we'll talk about a little bit later. And it does make me wonder, are the interns at Mercy West as crazy but lovable as the ones from Seattle Grace?
No.
Spoiler alert. No.
Spoiler alert, they're not.
But anyway.
Yeah. This episode was just very interesting to me because it's packed with these with just straight up emotion and amazingly stunning performances from start to finish. But the one thing that I think makes this one so memorable is how much is going on in between the lines of dialogue that I feel like it almost becomes individualized to how the audience member perceives what the actors are doing. You know what I mean? I feel like this is one of those episodes where you could debate endlessly, what was George thinking in that scene? What was Meredith thinking when she was, crying and blah, blah, blah. And, yeah, it's just one of those, episodes that, I feel like the fans didn't see coming, but then were like, damn, that was a good episode. They left just fully satisfied, their Grey's Anatomy, thirst was quenched, and it's just such an emotional episode. Yeah. The emotions are higher than ever.
Mm-hmm. But all of them do, all the actors and actresses do such an amazing job of not only kind of speaking with the emotions, but with the facial expressions and body language. You really feel the high emotion, the high stake of this episode.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, some of the best scenes in this episode have one line of dialogue, but they last for almost a minute. You know what I mean?
Like, the looks and
yeah, exactly.
It's really good. So anyways, all right, so opening dialogue. We all go through life like bulls in a china shop. A chip here, a crack there, doing damage to ourselves, to other people. The problem is trying to figure out how to control the damage we've done, or that's been done to us. Sometimes the damage catches us by surprise. Sometimes we think we can fix the damage, and sometimes the damage is something we can't even see. Ooh.
So this is actually the name of this song. Brace yourself, folks. Iguana, in parentheses, aka Gilberto Chill, end parentheses, by Sergio Bellman. Bellum. What the fuck? Alright.
I'm telling you, the song titles in this are fantastic.
Who the hell is Gilberto Chill?
Is that a person, or is he just saying, like, Gilberto Chill?
Dude, who the hell even knows?
Is Gilberto even a name?
Yes, actually, I can 100% say yes it is, because Nick Amaro's son on SVU, his name is Gilberto. They call him Gil.
I'm sorry. Anyway.
Gilberta.
No, that's even worse.
So we open at Dr. Finn Dandruff's apartment, and I just want to start a petition right now that you are only allowed to call him by his full title.
Dr. Finn Dandruff? Mm-hmm. All right, I'll do my best.
And he's, like, cooking breakfast for Meredith, like eggs or something. I don't know what he expects, but Meredith is, like, so tiny, I don't even know if she could finish that.
She also looks so uncomfortable in this. He's, like, just making her eggs, and she's like, I don't cook. And he's like, I didn't ask you to.
She will try to cook later in this show, and it is horrendous.
Like, and she just keeps, like, doing her, like, I know, I'm just saying that, you know, I don't cook, so you don't have to cook. I don't expect you to cook for me. And he's like, can you just shut up?
Yeah, just, like, sit
like,
your ass
stop
down.
rambling.
And he's just like, you're scary and damaged. And I was like, in your face, Meredith. But do you think Dr. Finn Dandruff likes to take on the role of, like, fixing broken people?
I feel like that's almost part of his character. Because, like, you know, there's people where they have that kind of, I want to say, like, empathy towards other people. And they kind of see someone and they're like, I want to help this person. I want to fix
See, I didn't see it as empathy. I saw it as, like, you want to be their savior type of thing. Like, you want to, like, just so you can feel good about yourself, you know, like, ooh, I can save this girl.
Or even, like, I'm wondering if, because we learn later more about Dr. Finn Dandruff and kind of his past, and he's a little, as he says, scary and damaged himself, and I wonder if he almost saw, like, a little bit of himself in Meredith, kind of, and just, like, what he's dealing with, and almost, like, saw it, because I guess I'll just say, like, his mom died of cancer, and her mom is kind of going through this Alzheimer's thing, and I almost wonder if that's, like, part of it, is if he kind of sees that and thinks that she's going through something similar, and is like, I see kind of myself in her, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, he's doomed, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's only seeing the tip of the psychotic iceberg that is Meredith Grey.
Oh, yeah. She's gonna destroy him.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Meredith is like, I'm not scary and damaged. Yeah, you are. No, I'm not. No.
And then he's like, all right, we'll prove it. Why don't you tell me about your family? And she's like,
It's like, should we go into that? I wrote down a ton of bullet points about her family.
Yeah, it's like, let's see. Her mom has Alzheimer's and basically hates her. Not really low-key.
She, like, epically cheated on her father with her boss's boss's boss and drove him to his alcoholic bottom.
Meanwhile, her personality alone, meaning Ellis's personality, drove Thatcher to the point where he didn't even know how to keep in contact with Meredith.
And then Meredith saw her father for the first time in 20 years this year. Yeah. Like, possibly, like, a month ago.
Yeah, and she just learned that he has an entire family. Without her.
Secret family for years with 2 daughters that are perfectly happy.
Oh, yeah. And love their dad because he, and I quote, is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Good job.
And then she's like, aha. And then Finn's like, all right, I'll prove it a little bit more. tell me about the last guy you slept with. And she's like,
It's like he just nailed the 2 chinks in her armor.
She's like, oh, right, that.
I just slept with one of my best friends who won't even talk to me and who I knew was at least a little bit in love with me, but I did it anyway because I was missing my true love of my life who I can't be with because he's married.
Oh, and by the way, he's also the one that I kind of slightly own this dog with.
Yes. Also, Dr. Dandruff is wearing dark green again.
Imagine that. But he does have white.
Yes, he's adding a little bit of color. But I will mention
It's
that...
sad that white is him adding a little bit of color.
Yeah, the absence of... No, actually, it's all colors combined equals white. But I will mention that Meredith coming down the stairs last episode, she was wearing, quote, one of his shirts, and it was dark green. So...
I'm waiting for her to just be like, do you own anything besides dark green?
He actually... I think he wears a brown shirt at the end of this episode.
But still like a foresty color.
Yeah. I mean, he's basically still dressing like a tree.
Also, did we ever decide what we're going to call his apartment? His place? I feel like it should have like a happy name because it's like, it's so happy and
The
like...
Finn Palace.
Nice. And like, no, it's the Bergtuna Palace.
That's true.
But you know, like, and he cooks and it's nice and...
Casa Dandruff.
That's pretty good. We'll work on it.
Yeah. So let's cut over to the intern OTP house where Izzie and Meredith are in the bathroom basically gossiping about Meredith's conquest. And Izzie has so little respect for Derek at this point that she's like using his first name and gossiping about him endlessly.
They all do, because he's basically a child.
I know. Like in this episode, he very much proves that point.
Oh, yeah. And then I love this. 4 dates and 2 sleepovers at his place and no sex. Not even a kiss goodnight.
Which is a little weird.
I'm actually surprised. Meredith is holding off. The knitting is working.
I know, but like...
How is her shitty knitting working?
But like, not even kissing him? That's a little weird, don't you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, they're just like, we're gonna platonically get in this bed together, Dr. Dandruff. Like, is she sleeping in the same bed as him? Is she on the couch?
Maybe she's on the couch.
But, like, why then? Because she has a bed at home. And also, she's Meredith fucking Grey. Like, she doesn't sleep on a couch. You sleep on the couch.
That's so true. He's 100% sleeping on the couch. She's like, get out of the bed, man.
Yeah. He's like, actually, it's a king-size bed, so there's actually room for both of us.
And she's like, get out.
She's just like, see, that doesn't work with me.
I'm knitting. And then Izzie, oh, I am proud, like a proud mama. And you're like, oh.
I want Izzie to have kids. Anyway.
She has a kid.
I meant, like, raise a kid.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, the addition of Izzie whitening her teeth and Meredith fixing her eyebrows is not a mistake. Like, because they're, like, showing that they, like, keep themselves clean and, like, you know, that...
They do actually have hygiene.
That they have hygiene and, you know, just basic standards.
Christina's just the disgusting one that lives in a landfill.
Yeah, but she even has standards.
And then the mother of all destruction walks in.
And you're like...
Also, her hair looks terrible.
This could be, like, the worst it's ever been.
It is. And her face... So she walks in butt naked.
No, she's got underwear on.
Oh, that's right, she does. And her face, like, it's not even like, oh, I'm sorry, there are people in this bathroom. It's just like, ugh, I'm disgusted by you. And then walks over to the toilet and pees.
Yeah. Naked peeing in front of 2 people that, like, okay, 2 people that are, one, you're their boss, so that is weird. That would be like Bailey coming in and naked peeing in front of you. I'm serious.
The chief.
Oh, no, but that's different because he's even older. But Bailey and Callie are on the same level.
Yeah. Ugh. Like, weird.
And then Callie's like, they don't respect me.
Like, there are so many things wrong with this scene. Number 1. Who just walks around someone else's house in just their underwear? 2. Who just pees in front of people you don't even know?
Yeah, I mean, like, according to my timeline, which I actually did bring today, folks. Let me take it out. She met George, like, possibly, like, only, like, a month or 2 ago.
Yeah, like,
ew. Whatever.
Like, even, like, I've known you for, like, what, like 6-7 years or whatever. And if you were in the bathroom and I was like, I have to pee, I'd be like, get out.
Yeah.
And I also would not naked pee in front of you.
Yeah. I'm really grateful that has been established now. Because
that we have that standard.
I would be like, we're done.
And then, just to top off the horrendousness that is this scene, I don't think that's a good word, but whatever, is she doesn't wash her hands. I'm sorry, but you just naked peed in front of them. How hard is it to be like, yo, move so I can wash my hands?
Just
whatever.
Everything about this scene is wrong on so many levels. Like, and I actually do kind of have a problem with what the show does here. Because, like, with this storyline. Because in the beginning of the episode, you are very much supposed to be on Meredith and Izzie's side.
Rightfully.
Yeah. And then in this, like, this is how Grey's works. In this cliche full circle moment at the end of the episode, you're supposed to be like, whoa, I'm on Callie's side now. But no. No, absolutely not. There's no even argument that you should be on Callie's side.
Mm-hmm. And I hope you realize that every time that this scene gets brought up in this episode, we're going to destroy Callie over and over again.
Yes.
And I just love Meredith and Izzie. Oh my god, did that just happen?
That's like a normal reaction. Like, if that happened to the two of us, we're in the bathroom, like, talking to each other, and some, like, random person just walked in and did that, that would be the same exact reaction I would have.
I would walk straight into his room after that and be like, dump her. She's crazy.
Callie be crazy.
She
Callie
doesn't have moral
Torres.
hygiene standards. What is wrong with this woman?
It's not even the washing the hands thing for me, though. Like, I get that.
I think hygiene is also just walking around someone else's house, like, in your underwear. That's just weird.
Like, also, like, I get Meredith was blocking the sink, but I thought that Izzie and Meredith, like, really, like, held it together and, like, didn't yell at her in that moment, and kind of, like, what else were they supposed to do?
But it's also just, like...
They were just like, oh my god.
Any normal human being, if you walk into the bathroom, or, like, walk towards the bathroom, and there's someone in it, and, like, they're not, they're just plucking their eyebrows or something, and so you're like, all right, like, if they could stop for 2 minutes so I could pee, you go, hey, can I use the bathroom for a quick minute? And any normal person would be like, yeah, of course. Unless you use the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
That is a normal situation. Callie. And
also,
even if that said person peed in front of the other person, it's still a normal thing to walk up to them and be like, hey, can I use the sink to wash my hands? And another normal person would be like, yes, of course, please. Because your disgusting hands, I don't want them to touch me, so please wash them.
But also, she wasn't wearing a bra. So, like, that would have been super weird if she, like, got up in Meredith's space and was like, hey, can I wash my hands? I honestly don't wash my hands every time I pee.
That's disgusting.
Every time I pee?
Yes.
In my own house?
Yes.
Whatever.
That's not hygienic.
Every time you pee in your own house,
yes,
you wash your hands.
Yes.
That's actually kind of shocking to me. Like, I would never go to a public restroom and not wash my hands, and I would never take a dump and not wash my hands, but, like, every time I pee...
At least you have some standards.
Yeah. Whatever.
Can you imagine if Callie just came in and did, like, a massive...
And they're just like, smell is 90% taste.
I almost feel like I would appreciate this scene more if she had done that. Like, that would have killed me.
I think Izzie would have bitch slapped her. Anyway, I do want to mention that I took a screenshot of Meredith smiling and it brings joy to my life, but also, there's a hand sticking out of Meredith's wall. It's like she has a little, like, fixture. It's like she has a little fixture to, like, hold soap or something, but it's just, like, a hand. There's, like, a straight-up hand just sticking out of her wall.
Okay, that's freaking weird.
It's weird. After we spent about, oh my god, we're, like, 22 minutes into this. We're on, like, the third scene.
So then we cut over to Izzie complaining to George about this.
And everything she says is valid. Like, I'm not even upset because, like, there is literally no argument for Callie. Like, I'm not even, like, pissed off or, like Izzie's right.
Yes.
Like, she's objectively right.
And I just love Izzie. She peed. Naked peeing. Ask Meredith. Meredith? And then George is like, ugh. And, oh, right. I forgot. You're not talking to her.
I just like how Katherine Heigl goes, she's a surgeon.
She's a surgeon. like, this whole scene, and then Izzy is, if you were, she would tell you that Callie crosses the line, so freaking cross, and then Alex, oh, we're still pretending you're not seeing a patient, right? They are all so bitter in this scene.
I know, and then, like, Izzy just chucks an apple past Alex's face.
Which is fantastic. And then Christina, of all people, is like, everyone be happy, and you're like, what?
She almost snaps a glove in, like, Derek's face. His face, by the way, is essentially communicating, I have not pooped in weeks.
So true. And then she calls Derek sir.
It's like, come on. After you've said to him what you've said. Well, also, like, season 2, episode 14, when she just eviscerated him in the elevator. So like, you don't need to call him sir anymore.
And then, how's my dog? Ugh, God. Derek, go to your man pain bridge.
Yeah, speaking of that, where is it? It hasn't been in, like, tons of episodes lately.
Well, he's been okay. You know, everything's been peachy, hunky-dory in Derek world until he found out that Meredith and Finn were together.
Dr. Finn Dandruff?
You know, and he can't have his cake and eat it, too.
Oh, the horror. Because it's all about you, Derek.
It is. So now he's going off to cry in his man-pain bridge.
And then Ellen Pompeo ADR's in, are you mad at me or something?
And he's just like, yes.
I mean, okay, yeah, yes. Derek being jealous and childish is annoying. Yes. But it's also kind of the hope that hashtag Mayor Dare ship. Ew. Ugh. I hate saying it like that. Hashtag Mayor and Dare shippers, like, have been waiting for basically since the bomb.
Mm-hmm. So true.
And, you know, Patrick plays it so well.
So now we get
basically all of the patients for the entire episode right here.
At once.
And all at once.
The amount of Taylor Swift things that Emily is going to use this episode is out of control.
I'm wearing my Reputation shirt right now.
Too. Anyway, so back to the family tree of patients. So we get parents whose names are, and I'm serious, Big Jim and Millie.
Touche. Big Jim and Millie's daughter is Melanie. Melanie is married to Noah, and they were all in the accident caused by the Mercy West intern named Marshall. Why they had to name pretty much every character with an M is beyond me. But the point is that this is the family tree.
And they actually call this man Big Jim.
Becca's still on this. I mean,
like, and it's not just like the mom is like calling it, like, I'm pretty sure like Noah is like, yeah, Big Jim. And I'm like, how can you call your father-in-law Big Jim?
I just want to mention that Millie says, whatever kind of horse pill you've got, the horses continue, man.
What person in this show was on a horse kick? Like, are the horses supposed to mean something? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, I think the birth of that horse in last episode was like a metaphor of Meredith kind of like being reborn here.
The birth
with Finn.
Of Dr. Finn Dandruff and Meredith's relationship.
Yeah, no, like that's seriously, yeah. I mean, is it a coincidence that there's like this completely new, fresh, innocent life?
No. See,
and then one scene later, Doc is dying?
Yeah. See, I get that. But there's just been like so many other random like this. Because, and there's another one in this episode too.
There's like 2 more.
Yeah, and it's like, they 100%, I feel like, chose to say this. But why? Alright, so now we get this random kind of cutting where it's just basically all of the characters screaming each other's names obnoxiously.
Very effective comedy and very simple comedy. Daddy, Millie, Jim, Mel, Mama.
And then Bailey, the hillbilly picnic, which is the perfect description of this family.
Yeah, and then Millie, like, later, just hold your horses. He's hurt. He's already hurt. And I thought that was funny. Anyway, continue.
So now we get another part of Alex kind of being pushed more and more into the kind of, like, more feminine side of medicine.
I don't really know how to put that.
Like, in a better way. But, like, he's trying to examine this patient, and she's like, I don't know you well enough. Like, yeah, give me a lady doctor.
I think it's just the stark contrast between his, like, super masculine, big ego personality and the types of cases that he's been getting lately, and it's just, like, a fun, like, stark contrast to explore.
Yeah, which is cool. Interesting.
All right, so here we go. This is the biggest parallel metaphors of this entire episode, so I'm going to set it up right here. Meredith gets Marshall as a patient. And
which is perfect.
Yeah, well, which was not a mistake. So, Marshall represents Meredith, right? The car crash represents the sleeping with George. And the hillbilly picnic family represents the intern OTP family. Hope everyone's following. Their injuries are the metaphorical destruction and hurt that Meredith's quote-unquote mindless actions caused, just like how Marshall said he closed his eyes for a second. Like, just one mindless second and everything changes, right? So, like, most of the hillbilly family, most of the intern OTP family is okay. But Meredith's worst fear is that she caused unfixable damage to George, aka Melanie. And she's afraid that her actions have changed her, quote, family forever. Mm-hmm. And I think that the baby at the end doesn't really represent one person or event, but it represents starting fresh.
Mm-hmm. And like hope.
Yeah, it represents hope. And, you know, being able to rise above the baggage that you were kind of born from, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think that it's no coincidence that we get that storyline in the episode where George finally talks to Meredith. You know what I mean? That's the hope. Mm-hmm. That's the baby.
Well, because it's also setting up that the intern OTP family is kind of becoming almost whole again. Like, they're kind of coming back together. Like, Meredith and George are finally talking again. Because you really need, like, in the final couple episodes, you need the fact that they're all together and they're all supporting each other. Like, that's a huge thing that's going to come into play in the last couple episodes.
Yeah. You need that unit.
Uh-huh. So this episode is really important in kind of setting that aspect up of the final.
What's cool about it is that it's not like they're not damaged, but it you know what I mean? It's like there is still like long-lasting damage that will last for the rest of the show.
Oh, yeah.
But they're still a unit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can forgive.
And we're getting back to that. Yeah. And Derek is just, you know, being such a jerk right now. But anyway, he was talking about like a head injury. You've ever had a head injury?
Not like a concussion or anything, no.
I did. I actually re-podcasted the day after I fell off that table. You remember that?
Yes, we did. And you mentioned it.
Yeah, shout out to Lizzie. Yeah, and then they just like let me go to sleep. I was like, I'm tired. I'm gonna go to sleep. Like, I could have died. I could have just not woken up. But I guess, whatever.
It's fine. And basically, again, Meredith is trying to get Derek to talk, but he's just like, no.
But he, like, shuts her down, and it's only, you know, adding fuel to the explosion that will happen later. Mm-hmm. I just like this. George, really, being Southern makes you stupid. Do you know who owns half of Alabama? And then Izzie just nails it, and she's just like, yeah, and I bet he even washes his hands after he pees.
She is so bitter about this. Like, Meredith, I feel like, was kind of upset and like, wow, did that just happen? But Izzie is just like so bitter and like, George, I'm gonna take Callie down for this.
Well, it's just that like she's obviously jealous of George spending so much time with Callie, so she found the one thing that she can latch onto and make fun of her for, and she goes all the way. And that's what I love about Izzie. She is so extra. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
But it's so funny because I feel like after the first scene and Meredith kind of like talking about it, I feel like Meredith is just kind of like, yeah, whatever, it happened. I'm gone.
She's thinking about herself and Dr. Finn Dandruff.
I have better things to think about. But Izzie
like me.
Is just like, no. She's never going to live this down.
No, seriously. I think to the day that she dies, she will not live this down in Izzie's mind. And I want to mention this little part here where Alex, like, is trying to get away from Addison, and it's like she senses it, because Addison materializes out of freaking nowhere and puts him in his place. And funny thing that I want to mention is Alex says the she shepherd, and that's something that like Meredith came up with in 221. So obviously they're using this. I like that, where it's like they had Meredith use it, but they never had a scene where like Meredith tells the other interns to start using it. It just starts being used, you know?
And then I love Bailey. You burn the she shepherd, she burns back.
It's so like even Bailey knows, you know, like
Bailey's like, I'm in on cool things too.
Okay, so now we're in Marshall's room, and this is probably one of my favorite things that Katherine Heigl's ever done in her entire life. Just this scene. She's coming in, Callie's like distracted by some like CTs or whatever, x-rays. And Izzie goes, well, I'm your intern, so whenever you're ready. And Callie's like, okay, I need to, whatever. And then she just turns to George and like does this face like, do you really want this? Like, And then she just, like, does this, like, washing her hands motion. And she knows exactly how to get under George's skin. Like, she knows how to annoy George because he just shoves her out the door. It is flat out hysterical.
Like, but just her, like, doing that, and then he just is like,
yeah.
And Callie notices nothing.
It's like, how do you not ship George and Izzie? Even when they're fighting, they're, like, so adorable. Lovable and adorable.
And then, I think the best part about this is George asks Callie, like, did you wash your hands? Like, you washed your hands, right? Because even though he is dating Callie, he still believes Izzie and is kind of taking her side.
He's also, like, super insecure about his relationship with Callie.
Yes.
Because I think he, like, deep down knows that, like, she's a little weird. Yeah. I'd hope so. I'd hope he's picking up on this. And she goes, what? You washed your hands, right? Of course I washed my hands. And I'm like, ugh. It's like, how does she even know what, like, he's referring to? Whatever. Anyway.
Because she was as disturbed by the whole incident as we all were.
She probably wasn't, honestly.
This is the normal interaction that I have with people on a regular basis.
And then, and you're like, ew. Apparently Meredith has been in this room this entire time because she just appears.
She died.
I'm like, were you here the whole time?
Meredith just, like, comes out of the wall. Hi, guys.
She's like, CT was backed up and he's lucid now. So get it done now. And I'm like, Derek, just...
Meredith's, like, half of Meredith's plotline this episode is just trying to get this CT
I know. And it takes her so long.
Because I feel like she's either, like, fighting with Derek or trying to get this CT. Or fighting with Derek about getting this CT.
Exactly. And then, like, she has, like, one or two scenes with... Like, she's mostly just sitting around this whole episode. I'd like you to notice that.
Like this, she was just, like, standing in this room, like, yeah, whatever. And then Derek comes in, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, right. CT was backed up. I didn't feel like standing there.
Yeah, exactly. So now we get kind of a foil to last episode's storyline with Burke and Christina. Hashtag Burke-Tina. Is it Bertina or Burke-Tina?
I like Burke-Tina.
Or what about...
Kirk?
Chris-Kirk?
Chris-Irk? No. Burke-Tina is better.
What about...
No.
Prestina?
No. No. Burke-Tina.
Burke-Tina. Anywho.
I just love this. She's like, ugh, this case was boring me to tears.
She's and like, Burke, use your words. And he was like, but I was programmed to use only ones and zeros.
It's like, I don't understand. And then you fell asleep. When? This morning. She's like, what?
Let me paint you a picture. Christina fell asleep in the middle of sex.
Can you imagine just, like, passing out and just starting to snore, like, right in the middle? Like, Burke is like, woo, and then just like...
And he's just like, instant mood killer. Or even grosser if it wasn't.
And I love that. Don't let this threaten your manhood.
And he's like, I am very confident in my manhood. Thank you very much. I was like, well done, Isaiah Washington. That was great. And then she's like, well, you should be because I finished twice. And I was like, is Burke really that good? Apparently.
And then we have this little part. Because Christina goes, I'm a surgeon first, just like you. And he goes, no, I'm a person first.
And I'm like, let's all flash back to season 2, episode 1, where you broke up with her because you were putting being a surgeon above being in a relationship. And so... we're either seeing, like, tremendous character growth by Burke, or he's just a massive hypocrite.
I'm gonna go with growth because I love Burke.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like him breaking up with her and then, like, her, like, having all the issues with, like, the pregnancy and stuff afterwards kind of showed him that, like, you can't necessarily put being a surgeon above all else.
Mm-hmm. And I think Christina is the number one reason why he is a person first now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway. So then we finally get to Denny.
And it's like, it seems like he's been gone for like an episode, even though he was in last episode. I was just like, oh, finally. Like, I missed him.
Where's he been?
He collapses because he decided to take a walk up some stairs and the LVAD had a low battery. And, I mean, it seems like a very minor scene, but it's actually super important that they included something like this in episode 24, and you'll know what I mean. But, like, it gives us, the audience, a lot of information about what the LVAD can and can't do. And having him still, like, super vulnerable on the LVAD and showing how much he's depending on it is crucial to the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. I also really like that we get, with this storyline, is kind of getting a different Denny than what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not kind of the cheerful, flirty guy.
It gives him depth.
Exactly. And I love it. Like, he's being his little, like, grumpy pants self, and I love it.
But, like, yeah, you understand it. I mean, you don't like it. You don't like it in the sense that Izzie doesn't want to see him like that. We don't want to see him like that.
Oh, Denny. But it also, like, it just gives so much more depth and, like, makes his character interesting. But we can talk about that a little bit.
And it also increases the stakes. Like, it's like, okay, we understand how desperate he is now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then Izzie calls Burke Preston.
Which I love.
Yeah, I know. She's like, Preston, what do we do?
And he's just like, yay, I have a friend.
Yeah. And Burke just kind of goes, the damage to his body we can try to control, but the damage to his spirit? For a man like Denny to lie in bed for years on end, that's not something we could really understand. And his feelings about it aren't something we should try to control. Give him room, Izzie. Just give him room to grieve. I was like, whoa, Burke and Izzie just had like a deep conversation right here.
Mm-hmm. It was great.
And, you know, the spirituality thing is something that Izzie and Burke will always be aligned on.
Yeah.
I feel like they're speaking the same language.
That's great. Yeah. So then the next scene, somehow even Melanie gets a CT before Marshall.
Well, I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Meredith.
Yeah, so everything is wrong with Melanie.
Literally everything.
All right,
and they're like,
on.
Paige, everyone.
Yeah, they were just like, yeah, Paige, the head of every department, because this girl is a train wreck. Basically George after Meredith destroyed him. So let's cut over to Callie. This makes me so happy. She's just like, hey, have you seen Izzie? She was supposed to prep an OR for Noah's surgery and she completely bailed. And I was like, I cannot tell you how much I respect that Izzie has zero respect for Callie's authority. It makes me joyful. like,
and then George just walks straight by her. It's just so funny.
Oh, I love it.
She's just like, what? What am I doing today? And so, for some odd apparent reason, they sent this first-year intern to deliver the message to Melanie's parents that she is a train wreck.
I wonder if that has any tiebacks to the pilot. When he was sent, like, Burke sent him to the family to say that, like, what, the Bacon Man was dead. Remember him?
Oh, yeah, because he promised him to live.
Yeah.
Possibly. I also 100% feel like they made this and made George do it just so he could walk by Callie and say nothing.
Yes. I hope that was the reason, because I very much appreciate it then.
Because that little scene, she's like, everyone's ignoring me, George. And
she's just like, respect me.
And he's like, me too. Get out of the way. So now we get Melanie's surgery, which is basically just, again, everything is wrong with her.
It's going to be really hard for us to even, like, try to cover this because we're a podcast, so we're audio. It's very much a visual surgery. Like, you have to really watch to see what's going on. But anyway, they get to this point where the chief goes around and is asking all the surgeons, like, Shepard, Addison, and everyone's saying, like, damage control. And it's kind of a cool, like, eerie concept for a theme because the audience has no idea what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
They start talking about the triangle, and Alex speaks as the audience and is like, the triangle? What triangle? And Christina's like, you know, you're talking about the triangle of death, which is an awesome way to, like, end the act out and go to commercial.
It's super interesting because they're basically kind of saying that they're almost like triaging her, kind of, just to make sure, like, you know, getting all the life threatening kind of stuff, and then they need to let her body kind of heal itself and kind of, like, recover from that.
Yeah, they have to do the surgery in steps instead of all at once, because if they did it all at once, she would die from the strain. But if they do it in steps,
she has a better chance.
She has a better chance of surviving.
Yeah.
Anyway, so now we get this really awesome scene between Marshall and Meredith, and it's like, I know that they just met, and I know that he's only in one episode, but I really, like, this scene hits emotionally every single time.
Well, because it has the implication of, like, what if it were me? Mm-hmm. Which everyone in some way can relate to that, because there are so many times, like, even just simple things when you're like, that could have been me, or like, what if that was me?
Yeah. And I think Meredith is having a moment like that as well. Mm-hmm. Like, that could have easily have been me.
And then I love his thing where he's saying, he goes, today, this morning, because I stayed in the OR to save a life, I may have killed a pregnant woman. Which is so deep in the fact that he stayed longer at the hospital to save a life and basically ended up killing someone in the process.
Question, would he go to jail for that? Would that be manslaughter?
Like, involuntary manslaughter? I don't know. I feel like even if someone tried to do it, like, I don't know if the jury would convict, because, like, he obviously is like, I deeply regret this. Like, this is horrible. I can't believe I did that. Like, you know what I mean?
It would be different if he was drunk, but...
Well, yeah, because then he would get, he would definitely get involuntary manslaughter then, because, like, and he'd also get a DUI, but...
Yeah, but, like, you know what they say is that, like, when you wake up, if you wake up from a start, in the middle of the night, or you're, like, super sleep deprived, they've done tests that, like, your cognitive functions are the exact same as if you are drunk. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's also that.
I feel like he wouldn't.
I don't think they would convict, but... Anyway, so the CT tech, which, guys, remember her? She's, like, this, like, bigger woman with, like, blonde curly hair, because she'll come back in season 4 in one of my favorite moments in all of season 4. Yeah, so the CT tech is like, come on in, Marshall. And Meredith is like, we're gonna need a moment. And she's just like, I'm backed up here with 5 patients. And Meredith is like, did I stutter, bitch? We need a moment. And then she turns back around and Marshall has apparated his ass out of this scene.
He has. Like, where the hell did he go? Is he able to disappear into walls like Meredith did earlier?
And Addison?
Like, what the hell?
Like, is his wheelchair still there? He just got up and walked away?
Whatever. I thought his wheelchair was still there.
And Meredith is like, God damn it. You need a CT.
We're already halfway through the episode and I haven't done it yet.
I haven't done the one thing that I've been assigned to do. I've just been sitting around talking. So now we're going to cut over to a scene that I cringe at every single last time I watch it. It just hurts. Like,
it, like, I really like the scene because I like how hard Izzie is trying to make him feel better. But it also just hurts because Denny is so sad.
Mm-hmm. Like, she's trying to make him feel better with superficial things, but his pain goes so much deeper.
Yeah.
And I just, like, oh, it hurts me to watch it.
And then this line, though, like, now if you knew what that feels like, you would never have convinced me to let a battery run my heart. If you knew what it feels like, Izzie, you would have let me go. And that just, like, that just feels like stabbing in your heart.
I know. Oh. And Katherine Heigl's face is like, oh.
Yeah.
But when he goes, like, you have no idea what it is like to lose what I have lost. And she goes, I know lost, Denny. What does she mean? Is she talking about Hannah Sarah, like her daughter?
I think partially. I think she's also talking about, like she doesn't have a relationship with her mom.
Or maybe anymore. The fact that, like, she knows loss, she sees it every day at work.
Yeah, I think a little bit of, like, all of the above.
Yeah.
You know?
And he does call himself a horse of a man. Nod to the horse theme.
But I don't know, I just really... It's interesting to see that, like, the real effect that this disease has had on him.
Well, the real effect that this kind of thing has on the patient, but also, this is crucial, how it has an effect on the loved one as well.
Yes.
It's not just the patient, you know? It's like that classic thing, it's like death is hardest for those that are living, you know? Those that are left behind. But I'm really glad that they did this with Denny, like, forever glad that this episode exists, but I'm really glad that he didn't end this episode in this kind of mood.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah. I think that was also a good choice.
Mm-hmm. So basically, they are covering Melanie with plastic, getting her out to the ICU. And so it's basically just saying that they did as much, basically, like, damage control as her body could handle. And now they have to basically see if her body is strong enough to recover and, like, strong enough to get through further surgeries. Mm-hmm. And it's super interesting because I feel like, I mean, I don't watch too many other medical shows, but, like, I've really never seen anything close to, like, this.
Yeah, this seems very new and very creative.
Well, and I like that mentality of, like, sometimes you've done all you can do and all you can do is wait.
Mm-hmm. That's a universal life lesson there.
Of, like even though something isn't fixed, you've done all you can do for now, and now, like, what you really need is time. And it really speaks, I think, to the George Meredith thing, because in the beginning, you know, they were like, you have to apologize, until she kind of finally got to this point where she was like, I have apologized so many times, all I can really do is, you know, she had that little scene with him in the elevator, and it was like, I'm always going to be here for you, George. And now she kind of accepted it and was like, you know what, like, now the only thing that he really needs is time.
Yeah. And she was right.
To heal. So.
Yeah. So anyway, Derek looks up and he sees Marshall staring from the gallery, which surprises me that literally no one else is in the gallery. Like, that seems like a surgery that a lot of people would want to watch.
Yeah. But also, everyone is in on this surgery, so...
No, but I mean, like, that's the problem with saying stuff like that, is that everyone... No, like, there are hundreds of people in that hospital. Season 1 did a great job of making it feel like our 5 interns were just 5 people out of 100, you know? And I feel like we're already starting to lose that.
I also just love how no one else notices Marshall.
Yeah.
Like, they are so far through the surgery, and then Derek's like, oh, look, there's someone watching us.
Yeah, they're, like, done with the surgery, actually. Yeah.
And then we get this spew of an explosion from Derek.
Do you want to do Derek's thing, or do you want me to? Or?
You can do it.
So he goes, I don't care if he's the Surgeon General. In this hospital, he's a patient with a head injury who needs a CT. In this hospital... He's a scared guy who does not need to see the massive internal injuries of the woman he rammed with his car. This is your fault. You had him and you lost him. Whoa. You've got to take responsibility for your actions for once in your life.
And we're all gonna be honest. This anger, and like, half the stuff, like, you had him and you lost him, you have to take responsibility. 98% of that is him just being angry because of Finn. And, like, the whole, especially that you have to take responsibility, I think that was supposed, like, more for, like, the George. Oh, yeah. It started out being Derek, like, you take care of your patient, and then he was like, I'm mad at you.
I like it, though. Like, it's very well written, because it's just vague enough that you can kind of draw your own conclusions, but you obviously know he's not talking about Marshall.
Just Marshall.
Yeah.
Like, there is, like, he's definitely talking about Marshall, but there's, like, that underlying of, like, he's not just thinking about Marshall when he's saying that.
And I know that we shouldn't feel bad for Derek because bitch had it coming, but I can't help but feel bad for him because in this episode, he is so unbelievably just, like, sad and angry and lost.
Yes.
And he's taking it out on the wrong person when he really should just be doing some, like, internal thinking and fixing. But I see a man that's just broken.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think half of this problem and why he kind of had this explosion in this episode is because he hasn't really dealt with these feelings before. Like, I feel like this entire season has been him attempting to deal with his feelings for Meredith and then just being like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
Or like, actually, we can just be friends. It's fine. I'm going to flirt with her a little bit too. And it's like, Derek, you're not solving the problem.
Yeah.
You're just adding to it.
It's not even that he's ignoring the problem. He's literally adding to it.
Yeah. I also just like he gets so angry about this. But you're like, 10 times the worst things have happened to patients in this hospital.
Yeah, I know.
Like, he's like, you lost your patient, and it's like, is that really surprising, though?
But then there's this, like, brief little moment where, like, we see Derek's face after he walks away, and he has to, like, catch his breath, because he's just, like, I think part of it, and this is what I was talking about in my opening speech, is that, like, you can read into their performances so much.
Yeah.
Because that look that he does and that, like, breathing hard, I think he's like, I shouldn't have said that. Like, you know what I mean? He's just like, I'm so pissed, and I know that I shouldn't have said it, but I'm pissed.
Yeah.
You know?
Or I shouldn't have let my emotions, like, take control of that moment or whatever.
It's like he's aware of what he's doing, but he can't stop himself because he's just so angry, you know?
Yep. So then we cut over to Melanie's ICU room, and Oh My Love by Inara George is playing.
And Bailey kind of spells out for the audience what the hell is happening.
Yes, which, honestly, like, for me, first time I watched this episode, much appreciated. Because, like, in all the other things, they're like, the triangle of death. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And then they finally get to this scene, and I'm like, bing! Like, I got it.
Thanks. Yeah, exactly.
Like, thank you, Millie. Horrible name. But thank you for having that question.
Yeah. It's a balancing act. You've seen the episode.
Yeah. So then we get a kind of brief,
beautiful teaching moment between Addison and Alex.
I love this. Like, and I just love, like, in every moment, they're both just trying to, like, rip each other a new asshole.
They both are like, I want to kill you. Like, that's how they are in every scene.
Like, because she's like, Karev, where are you going? And he's like, what? Like, she's in the ICU, like, I'm going to find another patient. Like, he's like, I don't need you. And she's like, whoa, I don't know what you're thinking. Like, it's just so funny. The two of them are just...
Addison, like, I feel like all the other attendings have just, like, been fed up with Alex and have passed him off. And Alex knows that that's what they normally do, so he just kind of bends the line until the point where, like, he's trying to get Addison to get rid of him, and Addison won't give him the satisfaction of that. Addison's like, no, I'm going to work with you instead. Like, you're pushing people away, and instead, I'm going to teach you.
Why do you think Addison does that?
I think because she looks at him and sees a future Mark, and she doesn't want him to be Mark.
I also feel like in some way, she sees the great potential that he has as a doctor and is like, your attitude and all of this stuff is going to ruin that potential unless I, like...
help you. But I can't...
Oh, yeah, like...
It can't be a coincidence how similar he is to Mark.
Oh, yeah, and I think that's half it, is I think because she's like, I saw the potential in Mark, and then he ruined it, and so she's like, I'm going to make sure you don't do the same thing with your potential.
Yeah, if somebody... Well, and it's not like Mark has failed in life. He's very successful. It's just that, like... Personality-wise, he's kind of an ass.
Yeah. Whereas, like Mark's personality, I don't think gets in the way of his doctoring, whereas Alex's does.
And then we get essentially a lunch scene because they're all sitting in this. I've never seen this area that they're sitting in. I like how they keep trying to find new places for us to be. And let's read this. Meredith goes, "Poor Marshall. I mean, 1 minute you're a surgeon, the next you've destroyed an entire family." And then Izzie goes,
"Last month, I fell asleep in the parking lot on a bench. I literally couldn't even make it to the car."
And then Meredith, "I fell asleep at a restaurant, at a table, while I was on a date."
Who were you on a date with? Was it Dr. Dandruff?
I don't think so, because it was... Oh, no, it wasn't last month. No, I don't know.
You know?
When is she going on dates that we're not seeing?
Also, like, if it was, like, Dr. Dandruff, what the hell does he do? When he's, like, what do you do when your date just falls asleep at the table?
Just, like, her head slams into her, like, spaghetti. Are you okay?
Finn just keeps eating.
Yeah.
And the waiter, like, comes over. Is she good? She's fine.
She's dead. And then Christina goes, "Well, I fell asleep during sex." And then George walks up to this little girl party powwow, and he goes, "Izzie, hey, Callie's looking for you. You blew off her surgery." And this is why I hate Callie. This is it. Because there is a 99% chance that she had George do this for her.
Yeah, because granted, I think the first time that she was like, "Hey, George, have you seen Izzie? Like, she completely blew off the surgery." I don't think George was listening to her. I think he was so focused on telling the family. Like, I don't think he listened. So, like, 100%, I feel like she went up to him after that and was like, "I know you just had, like, a really rough time and, like, telling your patient that, like, basically their daughter is dying. But, like, I really need you to go do this and stand up for me in front of Izzie." And George is like, "Okay."
And George is like, "You give me sex, so I'll do it." Like, that's the only reason why he's putting up with her bullshit.
He also, I feel like, doesn't see it as bullshit. He's like, this is normal. And they're all like, no, it's not, George.
No.
Whatever.
Gentlemen out there, no, this is not normal.
And then Izzie, like, attempts to give an excuse, but, like, doesn't.
She, like, half-asses this excuse. She's just like, I had a patient, Denny. I had to go. And, like, serious question here. Izzie was assigned to Callie's service, and she just didn't show up. How is that even, like, allowed? She's just like, no, and then walked away.
Well, she was, but she got paged.
Still, though. Like, she's just like,
But you also think, like,
Swerve.
one of the other doctors would have been like, oh, hey, like, we had Dr. Stevens, like, go on a different case, like, and told Callie. Like, no one just...
Literally no one respects Callie.
No one told Callie.
No one in this entire hospital respects Callie because she has her boyfriend intern do all of her, like, dirty work for her. Stand up for yourself, Callie. God. She's, like, so much more into this relationship than George is, and it's so painful. You know what I mean? And he goes, you were hanging out with Denny, and then Izzie goes, oh, please.
Yes.
And oh, please jumps through a wall, and she's like, how dare you, that's my line. And then she just, like,
Slaps Izzie in the face.
runs away.
With, like, a piece of bread or something.
Why a piece of bread? Do not even talk to me about standards. Girl can't even wash her hands. And Meredith laughs, and then George, like, gives her, like, the death glare.
He's like, how could you? And then, like, walks away. And you're like,
Yeah.
ugh, whatever. And they're all, like, sad about it for, like, 0.2 seconds. And, like, meh, whatever.
And then Christine's like, don't worry about Bambi. If Burke can forgive me for falling asleep during sex, then George can forgive you for crying. And then Meredith is like, but Burke hasn't forgiven
Which,
me.
how does she know that? She has not talked to Burke throughout this whole episode.
She's all-knowing.
And then we get this scene where George, you know, has done his duty and is going back to inform Callie of what Izzie said. And he goes, I found Izzie. She said she had a patient. And Callie, I knew you'd take her side.
It's like, you know what, first of all, fuck you. Second of all, don't make your boyfriend do your dirty work for
I just
you.
love George. What?
Yeah, George is like, wait, how is this my fault?
He also, like, never actually said, like, he just literally repeated exactly what Izzie said. And she's like, you're taking her side. And it's like, no, I just told you what?
And so Noah gives this really long speech, which honestly I don't really want to read, but it is very good. Like, I like Noah's speech far more than I like the mother's speech later in the episode. I find his not as cliche, even though it's a very cliche, like, thing that he's saying, but it's not like, it's way better done, I think. And George goes, I believed my friend when she told me that Dr. Torres doesn't wash her hands.
And you're like, shouldn't this tell you something, George? That you believed a friend, like, that you've pretty much been mad at and, like, you blamed her for all of your issues over your girlfriend about something as simple as washing your hands.
Yeah, like, this is causing this big of an issue, because he clearly cares more about what Izzie thinks than what Callie thinks.
Like,
And then Noah, like, this is perfect. This is such a Grey's Anatomy turning on a dime, making intense drama into comedy. Well, I hope that's not true, seeing as she just performed surgery on me and all. And George is like, yeah.
and George's like, right.
Even George is undermining Callie now. Magic is like a tornado that literally nobody that values basic happiness should dare to go near. Because, like, seriously, think about this. Every person who gets near this group of interns is emotionally obliterated.
Oh, yeah.
Every person.
Oh, yeah. Anyway. So then, you know, most of the way through the episode, Meredith finally gets the CT results.
Mm-hmm. And Marshall just mentions that he wants to apologize here to the family. And then we get the scene that we have been waiting for since Addison showed up in this show. I can literally do this dialogue with my eyes closed.
Mm-hmm.
How would you like to set this up?
Do you want to just do the dialogue?
Yeah, and then just talk about it after.
Yeah,
sure.
So I'm guessing I'm Derek, since you want to do that.
Yes.
All right.
So they're in this
stairwell.
There's a person in the stairwell before they show up, though. Like, walking up the stairs. when they show up. So, and, like, the doors are open, so, like, they're screaming at each other in this hospital, which I will mention is something that happens quite a bit on this show. They scream about their personal lives in the middle of a hospital. So, anyway, man, my heart's, like, beating. Like, I'm, like, really, like, feeling this.
Exactly.
I never should have told you about George.
No, it's fine. I'm glad I know. About him. And the vet. You really get around.
What did you just say to me?
It's unforgivable.
I don't remember ever asking you to forgive me.
So was the knitting a phase? Who's next? Alex? Because I hear he likes to sleep around. You two have that in common.
And then she, like, hits him on the arm. You don't get to call me a whore. When I met you, I thought I had found the person that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. I was done. So all the boys and all the bars and all the obvious daddy issues, who cared? Because I was done. You left me. You chose Addison. I'm all glued back together now. I make no apologies for how I chose to repair what you broke. You don't get to call me a whore.
Holy crap, Ellen Pompeo.
I know.
Amazing.
I know. Like, the silence behind this scene. Ugh. Like, there's, like, complete silence. And it's like, like, Meredith Grey just ended the male species with this.
It's so good. And this, right here, this reason is why their friendship can't work.
Mm-hmm.
Meredith has been working to get over and move on from Derek. But Derek hasn't done the same thing. Kind of what we talked about earlier. He gets mad at her for choosing someone else when he did the exact same thing with Addison.
Yeah.
Exactly. But as soon as he sees Meredith moving on and trying to be happy and trying to kind of get on with her life, he's like, ugh, what? What?
He just wants her to pine over him for the rest of her life.
Yes, because even though he might love Addison, he can't be happy while Meredith is with anyone else but him.
Which is very telling, Derek.
Oh, yeah. But I love also the telling part, because, I mean, like, we knew that Meredith was very much in love with Derek, but I just love the kind of telling of, like, when I met you, I thought I had found the person that I was going to spend the rest of my life with.
Yeah.
I was done. And you're like, wow.
Yeah. When I heard that the first time, it was like this cocktail of just heartbrokenness, but also, like, exhilaration, because I was like, she basically just said you were the love of my life, and you got away.
Yeah.
And you know Derek is probably feeling something like that too, where he's just like, whoa. Like, you basically just told me that you wanted to spend the rest of your life with me.
I also just...
And I lost you.
Love this, like, I make no apologies for how I chose to repair what you broke.
Yeah.
I love that line.
Yeah, because it's the same thing as, like, everyone probably looked at her, like, in 210 when she was sleeping with all those guys, like Eric, and were like, oh, she's such, like, a slut. And it's like, she has the right to fix her life, fix, you know, like, something that he broke in whatever way she wants to. And if
unless, you know, it involves, like, murder.
Well, yeah, but, like, she's
illegal.
being safe about it, then she gets to do that. And you don't get... And it's not even so much that, like, maybe that wasn't the best choice for how she needs to move on, but you specifically don't get to tell me that that wasn't.
Especially being the fact that he was the one that broke her.
Yeah. And he's been doing this all season, and it's like, thank you, Meredith Grey, for saying that. And then this, like, I just love so all the boys and all the bars and all the obvious daddy issues. Who cared? You know? Mm-hmm. And I'm all glued back together now. Debatable. Do you really think she is?
I think she meant, like, I'm all glued back together. I think it's because was on her way of moving on from Derek and kind of, like, realizing that, like, they weren't possibly going to end up together. And I think that's why she started dating Finn.
Mm-hmm. I don't think she's 100% glued back together.
I don't think she is either, but she's definitely, like, so much better off than she was, and so much better off than he is, because he's lying to himself if he thinks that he's better.
Yeah, this is a broken man here. Do not confuse that. And also, I want to mention when he goes, who's next? Alex? There's no coincidence that she mentioned Alex, because Alex is the Mark proxy.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact
that is no mistake.
The fact that he went straight for Alex,
no
mistake there.
William already slept with George, so yeah. Been there, done that.
Process of elimination. Who's next?
Burke?
Twisted Mister?
Yes.
No. If that guy had sex with Meredith, he would die.
Can you imagine?
She would probably break his spine.
Her just walking into the house and then being like, what? And she'd be like, this is my new boyfriend, Twisted Mister. And he's like, hey.
And Derek was like, I do not want to be an Eskimo brother with you.
And everyone, Izzie and Christina are like, what? And I think that one of the best parts about this scene is their, emotions on their face. That little, the eye contact and everything, both of their faces are just, ugh.
Yeah, I mean...
So good.
They are acting at a level that I think most shows never get to.
Mm-hmm.
It's just incredible. And you know what is another awesome thing about this scene is that what Meredith just said to him got through his head.
Yes.
It got through his hard head. He absolutely... Okay, this is how I'm reading it. You know what I mean? So, take it with, as an opinion, but this is how I'm reading this show and how well I know these characters, is that what I see is that he knows that how he's feeling isn't fair to her or to himself. He's the kind of guy who knows that, but he's just so incredibly angry and jealous and unhappy that it's he cannot hold it in. I think, honestly, as he was saying some of the stuff he was saying, he was sinking into this self-loathing as he's saying it. He knows he's being a jerk. It's also the
thing of you're taking something out on someone else. You're mad at yourself, but you're taking it out on someone else. And I think that 100%. I think he is in a way a little bit mad at Meredith and all this stuff, but I think he's really just mad almost at himself for being one, putting himself in this situation. Two, I think a little bit of he's mad at himself for giving up Meredith. I think he's still a little bit with that, and the fact that he hasn't gotten over it or whatever. And then I like this whole, and he goes, this thing with us is finished. It's over. And she just goes, finally.
And we're all like, oh, yes. Because the only way that they, you're watching Grey's Anatomy the first time. You're a fool if you think that they're not going to end up together. You're a fool. But the only way that they could get to that point was having a scene like that. Because if they did not have a scene like that, I couldn't get behind Meredith and Derek. Because Meredith needs to finally say, she needs to yell in his face how he made her feel.
When, it was first all going down, all he really, was talking about was how hard it was on him. And how it all affected him. He never really talked about... he never really... acknowledged that how much this could have hurt, that whole thing could have hurt Meredith.
Well, I don't think it's that he never acknowledged it, it's that she was basically very civil to him. She never got to yell.
Oh yeah, she never did. But it was still, he was always Addison cheated on me, I'm the victim. And it's no, ultimately in this situation, Meredith is the ultimate victim.
And she's never had a chance to really say, what she's feeling. But I mean, I feel he also wants to hurt Meredith because he's hurting so badly, and he wants her to know how he's feeling. And this is exactly why I said I am so glad that they did not kiss at the end of 217, because without this speech, I don't think I could respect the Meredith and Derek relationship. Yeah. This needs to exist.
So then, basically they've decided that Melanie is... basically as strong as she's going to be, and that now is the best time to go in and fix the rest of her. So we get the song Tragedy by Brandi Carlile playing.
Gorgeous
Good song. And obviously I feel you kind of knew this right as soon as they found all of her injuries, that she wasn't gonna make it.
She has the unfortunate destiny of being a metaphor.
Oh yeah. So things go downhill very quickly. And so basically they're she's going to die. Alex, go get Addison so she can save this baby. And so Alex runs pretty much I think next door or something, just to another OR. And he's she's crashing. And I love Addison, I'm elbow deep in the patient's uterus. Grab, what do you want me to do? Leave this woman and her child to die?
It's such a scary concept. Like, how you could, like, the doctor that could save your life can be literally down the hall, but if the timing is wrong and she's busy with someone else, that could be the reason you die. Not that that's the reason why she died today. Yeah. Everything worked out. Yes. But, like, whoa.
But this also begs the question, aren't there other, like,
that's what I was wondering.
OBs in this hospital that can deliver this baby? Like, they're like, it has to be Addison. And it's like, but because like that's the thing, like, this thing happens all the time when you're like, well, you're like doctors in another surgery, and so they're like, oh, but we have this other doctor that'll come in and help.
Where is please?
But they're like, we don't have Addison, the baby's gonna die.
Yeah, whatever. So then we cut outside to the OR to George just being the definition of a team player. Like, he has gotten so much shit from his friends, his girlfriend, and he's gotten, like, no surgeries in this entire episode, and he is never complained once. He's sitting with the family, and he's being supportive.
He's also arguably the only intern that could have done this. Because Christina, first off, they would have been like, go support the family, and Christina would have been like, no. Wouldn't have gone. Meredith would just, like, sit there and talk about her own life or something. Or just
I feel like of all of them, if not George, Meredith could have been the second best option.
Izzie would try to be, like, cheerful, which I feel like is good, but I don't think it was the right thing for this family.
I don't know. Izzie's pretty good. Remember Verna Bradley when she sat there and she's like, it's grief. You're grieving for Ted. She's pretty good at that. But yeah, I think George is the glue, so this is
like,
great.
I just, like, you're doing everything you can. Like, that thing.
Well, and it's also important that George is sitting outside the surgery because Melanie is him.
Well, and it's also huge because now Big Jim and Millie are kind of his patients. And then we get Meredith with Marshall and her patient. And Marshall wants to apologize to the family.
Yeah, so Meredith wants to apologize to intern OTP family.
Yes. So then we get Alex finally stepping up and being like, I'll do the C-section, I'll do the surgery.
And it directly ties back to what Addison taught him earlier in the episode. And I love that there was a teaching moment between these two. It's not just like drama and like rage or whatever. It's like Addison is really trying to put Alex's education.
Yes. And even though it comes out in drama and rage, he actually is learning and picking up from it, which, yay.
But I think that's how he learns best. Yeah. I think that she is speaking his language.
Oh, yeah. And I love the little ending where, like, the chief calls time of death, Addison enters, and she's like, Chief? Like, all distraught, and then she, like, looks over, and Alex has the baby, and you're like, I feel like this was, like, this moment of her of, like, I think I'm getting through to Alex.
Yeah.
Which is a huge moment.
Ugh. And the song that is the only song that could be used during this scene. Nowhere Warm by Kate Havnovic. That's a good song. After commercial, we just start with this scene in this, like, really dark OR with just Bailey and the chief standing there looking at, like, dead Melanie.
Yeah. Which is a very telling, like, I don't know, it's a very
effective
scene, which, again, a scene, no words, but the actors do a really good job with, like, the facial expressions, the body language.
The next, like, I think, like, the first, like, 3 or 4 minutes after commercial is almost silent, which is kind of amazing. It's just the song, which is why the song is so crucial. You had to choose the right one.
Because then we cut over to Marshall apologizing.
Oh, my God.
And, you know, he just...
This scene demands attention. Every time I watch it, I'm on the edge.
And I love how he kind of, Big Jim kind of wordlessly forgives Marshall. And then you get this look between George and Meredith. And I like how it isn't this whole thing of, like, them being like of her being like, I'm so sorry, George, like, and saying it again. I like how it was just a silent of, like...
I don't even think it was, like, she was silently saying, I'm sorry. I think it was just, like, they're sitting there and looking at each other and being like, from what I got, and again, here we go, it's interpretation, but from what I got in that scene was, like, I value you as a person, and I don't want the way you remember me as to be pissed at you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm still, like, I almost got in their eyes, like, I'm still pissed, and this isn't me giving you a free pass, but I don't want to live without you in my life, almost.
I think it was also a little bit of George being like, I don't want to live the rest of my life having this anger and, like, not be able to talk to this person who I used to think of as a friend.
Yeah. Because I value you.
But Meredith does kind of look at it, like, and she almost has tears in her eyes a little bit of just being, like, and for me, that expression, to me, almost got, like, the, like, thank you, or, like, I kind of, like, understand, or, like, finally, like, we've gotten to a point where, like, I don't know.
That's not what I got. I just
Or, like, sadness of, like, because I think he also realizes that, like, she is kind of, like,
broken herself.
And that I think he is starting to get that, like Marshall, I don't think she meant to hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's finally seeing that of, like...
Yeah, exactly. I think George is finally seeing that, like, hey, this isn't black and white.
Yeah.
It's in shades of gray.
50 to be exact.
Ew. Way to ruin it.
And then we get this adorable scene. And Denny's still being a little grumpy pants.
Mm-hmm. But then Izzie's, he's just like, you're going to get in trouble. I don't care. I'm not going to cheer up for you. And she's like, you don't have to cheer up. I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. Remember that, folks. And then she just climbs into bed with him on his right side. I just want everyone to remember that she's on his right side. And, folks, this is love. This is what love is.
It's so cute. And again, it's not this whole thing of her going in and giving him this speech about why he needs to be cheerful and, like, happy and keep persevering. It's just this really simple scene of, like...
Well, she's doing what Burke said in the beginning of the episode, is saying that your feelings are valid, you know? Yeah.
And I'm giving you time to grieve, but I want to be here. Like...
While you do it.
I'm here for you, even when you're, like, in your darkest.
Mm-hmm. For better or for worse.
And then we get this little scene
of Burke throwing some epic shade.
He tries to, though, but I feel like he doesn't. Like, Christina's just like, whatever.
He's like, you must be tired.
And she's like, yeah. But then he, like, kind of gets over it and is like, yeah, I'm tired, too.
Yeah, it's like everyone's kind of forgiving each other. Like, you notice that? Like, the beginning of the episode, everyone's pissed at each other. And at the end of the episode, everyone's kind of... It's not even like they're forgiving. It's not like they're letting go of the pain and the hurt and the anger. But it's like they've come to a realization that, like, they gotta let it sit. Well, even Meredith and Derek.
And I feel like they've kind of had that whole of the what if it were me thing with Marshall. Mm-hmm. And being like, you know what? Like, we've all made mistakes or whatever. But it could have been worse. Well, like, I could have caused someone their life and I didn't. And I don't want to be angry with you and hold on to this.
It's also like a pregnant woman just died in our hands. So my trivial anger at you really doesn't matter as much as it did this morning. Mm-hmm. You know? It does give them a lot of perspective.
Mm-hmm. And then I don't know why I like this, but we get this little scene that, like, you're like, yeah, Karev has changed. And he's just like, no, I haven't. Because then he goes, kid's alive without a mother. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I like that. How it's like, Addison is getting through to him, but he still has his, like, Alex.
And this is what they do very well in the earlier seasons. And, like, we've discussed this. Alex, like, just changes. Mm-hmm. It's like they are unable to write him in a way, like, they're just like, we have to change him fundamentally. And it's like, if you have to do that, you're doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm. And then we get this massive and yet so simple scene where George, like, they're in the locker room and he just goes, see you at home to Meredith. And everyone's like, the silence is broken.
Ugh, and it feels so nice. Like, so nice. And it's...
But it's so simple. It's not this, again, it's not this
it's
huge...
It's crucial that it's simple.
I'm so sorry. It's just him being like, I'm forgiving. Like, it's like the forgiving but not forgetting kind of thing. Or being like, I realize that I need you in my life in some sort of way. And, like, yeah, I'm still a little hurt and all this about it, but, like, we're still family.
Yeah. And there's no coincidence that he goes home. See you at home. He's going home.
Yeah.
You know?
With his family.
Yeah. So on the radio by Regina Spector. Wow.
Which, you know, we had to end this episode with a little bit of the cute, flirty Denny.
It's like such just an easy way for the Grey's writers to get some credit for an episode. They're just like, just write a cute Izzie and Denny scene, and everyone's like, oh. And he goes, Izzie? And she's like, would it be wrong for me to fill you up right now? And she goes, not so much. And then they just both start laughing. And the way Katherine Heigl says this, she's like, such a dirty boy.
They are so cute.
How are they not married in real life?
I don't know.
Does Katherine Heigl have more chemistry with her real husband?
Apparently.
How?
Apparently.
Wow.
But it's so cute. And it just, like, I feel like I love how, you know, they have all these scenes of people kind of, like, forgiving each other and, you know, making up for being annoyed at the last scene. But it's this scene that makes me smile at the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I'm like, yeah, you know, like, Meredith and George forgive each other. Like, great. But kind then, whatever. Like, they're talking.
Yeah.
You know?
Progress.
You know, the family's back together. But then it's this scene where you're like, everything's good in the world again. Like, Denny's happy.
I know. It, like, makes your heart feel whole. Ugh, so now we're gonna go back to Callie's sex dungeon, where she's moping like what happened to her isn't 100% her fault. Like, the whole goddamn world is against you, Callie.
Again. And so she goes, she's like, they're staring at me, which, like, yeah, you were naked.
No, but she does reveal, she's like, I washed my hands. I went down to the kitchen and I washed my hands.
Which is almost weirder. You walked more around their house naked. Your underwear.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then she's like, because those girls were staring at me like I was a rodent or something. And it's like, maybe they were staring at your topless, braless chest.
And then she's like, I didn't even know they were home. And you're like, okay. But still, if I'm like, you know, for instance, if I was at my boyfriend's house and he had roommates or whatever, and I was like, oh, they're not home, I'm just going to walk around with nothing on, which first and foremost, I would not do.
Yeah.
Even if I knew for a fact they weren't home, I would not do this. Anyway, if I ran into someone and was home, and, you know, and I didn't think they were home, and I'm, like, walking around my underwear, I would have been like, oh, like, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were home, like, let me go put a shirt on, or, like, can I just use the bathroom? You know, like, she just looked at them like, ugh, why are you guys here? Like,
she was like, morning. Yeah, like their presence was annoying her, and I'm like, you're in their house. It's their house. She is so needy. Everything has to be her way or the highway. Ugh. And, you know, like, Meredith is like that too, but, like, in so much more of a charming way.
Well, and Meredith would never do something as weird.
Exactly. She's never... No, but... And then she mentions, she's like, it was like I was in high school. And I was like, do you think Callie...
Did you walk around in your underwear in high school too?
No, but do you think Callie was, like, picked on a lot in high school?
I feel like, yes. Or, like, she was someone that, like, other girls, like, stared at and were kind of like, ugh, it's Callie.
But, you know, the reason why... Like, and I hate to say, like, oh, you're the victim, I'm gonna blame the victim. I'm not trying to victim blame. But I don't think you and I were very much like other girls in high school either. Mm-mm. But if you let it get to you, then they have all the power.
But it's also, like...
Just let it go.
My thing is, I'm like, yeah, maybe you were, you know, like, bullied in high school and, like, how this stuff... It's like, yes. But that wasn't what was happening in this bathroom. You know? They weren't like, ugh, Callie, we hate Callie. They were like, why the hell are you in our bathroom with just your underwear on and walking around our house and looking like we're the crazy people?
Yes, I know. And she's just like, you have to stand up for me. Like, this line bothers me so much. She's just like, you have to stand up for me. You have to say I washed my hands.
Which, first off, is not the issue.
No, you don't. Like, I get what she's saying. Like, you have to say wash my hands is a placeholder for other things. Well, yeah. But it's like, no. Why don't you stand up for yourself? Oh, God.
Again, this also wouldn't have been a problem if she was just a normal human being.
She's, like, manipulating George. And he's just like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, no, George, you're not.
I feel like the problem is, like, I get that she has had, like, some issues in the past and all this stuff. But she's, like, trying to use it as an excuse for just, like, weird behavior or, like, bad behavior. And it's like that's being something like, oh, I was bullied in high school, so I murdered this person. And you're like, yes, that's bad, but, like, no.
That was a weird comparison.
But, like, no, sweetie. You know what I mean, though? Like, it's like I'm gonna treat you like a horrible person because, like, I have a messed up family.
But, I mean, I knew people like that in high school who, like, were always so massively insecure. And the problem is that their insecurity was why the other people at school looked at them that way. If they just had confidence and weren't so worried about insecurity, then they wouldn't look at them like that.
Which, like, also, I'm gonna be honest with you. Callie did not walk around that bathroom like she had any insecurities.
Yeah.
If I walked up to someone and I was, like, almost butt naked, I would have been like, oh, crap, and, like, been covering myself up and, like, running out of the room. She just, like, walks in and is like, yep, this is normal. And it's like, I get what she's saying, but that is not what all I got from that
But
scene.
she is very insecure. Because she's making her intern boyfriend do everything for her.
Which, whatever. Whatever. No one cares about you,
Just,
Callie.
like, we've already spent too much time talking about you, Callie. Like, gross. Anyway, so then we get another classic Grey's Anatomy mirror scene where Dr. Finn Dandruff is cooking for Meredith in his apartment. I guess dinner now?
Because, you know, he actually has an apartment, Callie.
Yeah. He has an apartment, not just a sex dungeon. Yeah. And he's just like, you're driving me crazy with the hovering. Because Meredith is just, like, standing behind him, probably critiquing what he's making. And it's in this scene that I realized that Finn has a massive head.
I did not notice that.
Anyway, so do you want to do this dialogue real quick?
Sure.
All right.
Who do you want to be?
I want to be Meredith. All right. This could be a mistake. Us. You're a really nice guy, and, well, you don't want to get involved with me. If you knew me...
Scary.
Finn.
And damaged. See? I told you.
If you knew me, if you knew my family, if I told you the guys that I've slept with lately...
Eric.
The scary and damaged may actually be more than you can handle.
My mother's dead. She got cancer when I was 10, and she suffered for a really long time. And then she died. And my father never really recovered. It's kind of like he died with her, except that his body's above ground and permanently placed in front of the TV with a bottle of scotch in his lap. The last woman I slept with was my wife, but she died too. It was a car crash, so it was quick. She didn't suffer, which I appreciated. Don't worry. I'm thinking that my luck is beginning to change because I've met you. LOL.
LOL.
And you like dogs, and you enjoy pony births. And you have the ability to save lives. I never said I wasn't scary and damaged too. I like Finn.
Yeah, it's official. I like Finn. Because he lets her... Because he is kind of letting her know that, like, whoever you are is completely valid.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And, like, we all have our paths, like, our pasts.
Damage. Yeah, our baggage.
We all have damage. But, like, that doesn't mean that, like, you shouldn't be able to, like, love or, like, have love and, like, all this stuff. Like,
yeah. I think Dr. Finn Dandruff is kind of confusing for the audience because we obviously have that Thatcher parallel in George, and that the Chief parallel in Derek. But Finn is kind of like a wild card. Mm-hmm. Like, he doesn't fit into any of it.
And I think, like, it's also kind of a wild card because you look at him and you look at kind of this Meredith-him relationship and you're like, this could actually work. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, you know, I love Derek and I love Meredith and Derek. But, like, the Finn-Meredith relationship totally could have, like, been a thing and, like, they brought this in. Like, that could have been a thing. And that's why I think it's super interesting. Mm-hmm. Because, like, one, he's so different from Derek. But it works. And you're like...
But he's also not George, you know?
Mm-hmm. And it's almost like with the Addison thing of, like, I'm not supposed to like him because I like Meredith and Derek, but, like, I do like him, and I don't understand, and, like, but what is happening?
Yeah. Grey's Anatomy, guys. Mm-hmm. How did they do it, man? And, like, yeah, I really do like Finn. Mm-hmm. Like, he's got confidence, you know what I mean? And I like that.
He's also not scared of twisty, damaged Meredith, which is so good for him.
Yeah, I know.
So good for him. And then they kiss, and it's super cute.
Yeah, it is. And
they kind of smile, like, a little bit at each other, and you're like, oh. Your heart, like, dies a little bit, because you're like, oh.
Yeah, like, it's like your heart dies a little bit because you hate it, but you also kind of like it all at once. And you're like, God damn it, Grey's Anatomy, how do you do this? Mm-hmm. So anyway, closing speech. I just like how they just stare at each other, too, at the end there. Closing speech. We're all damaged, it seems. Some of us more than others. We carry the damage with us from childhood. Then, as grown-ups, we give as good as we get. Ultimately, we all do damage. And then we set about the business of fixing whatever we can. Seriously, count. 2.
Mm-hmm. Patient rankings. This one was kind of hard for me because they all kind of work together in a way to have that, like, parallel with, like, the intern family, and so it was kind of hard to kind of pick some of them a little bit because, like, the whole storyline was really effective, and I was like...
Well, and they're also intertwined, too. It wasn't separated out.
Yes. So it was, like, it was hard, but...
My number 6, guys, is Big Jim and, Betty, I guess her name is? I didn't know that.
Millie.
Millie
Yeah.
Johnson.
My number 6 was Millie because, like, yeah, she had a part of, like, this whole thing, but, like, let's be honest, she didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
She was just there.
Number 5 was Noah, the husband.
Same, because, again, like, same thing. Like, he was there, and he kind of had something to do with it, but he, like, wasn't really, like, a crucial part. Like, if Melanie hadn't come in with her husband, like, it wouldn't have mattered that much.
Like, honestly, if the parents weren't there at all, like, I mean, okay, the dad later, but that scene was more about Marshall, I feel like, than it was about the dad. But whatever, we'll get to that. Anyway, number 4, Denny.
Same.
Yeah. God, it's unbelievable that he's number 4. Like, now I'm thinking about it, because his whole story arc was so important, but he's still number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's also hard with Denny, because his whole story arc is, like... 7 episodes, and so it's like we're still kind of just like in the middle of his story arc, so it's like super important, but you're still like we still haven't gotten to the like bam of his character of like, you know,
still, guys.
And it's like, and I think that's the hard part about with like some of the individual episodes, because if we're doing like a patient for like the whole season, right,
which we will,
spoiler alert, Denny's going to be number 1.
If he's not, then you're a fool.
Even though we've had so many episodes lately where he hasn't been the number 1. And that's because, again, like, you know, the Melanie story arc is just this episode. And so you get that, the beginning, you get the huge moment of, like, this is what she represents, and you kind of get the ending. Whereas, like, Denny, we're still in the, like, setting him up for his, like, huge moment.
Yeah. Yeah, my number 3 is the baby. Baby Reynolds.
Okay. My number 3 was Big Jim, and I had him up because, like, he doesn't really do anything, but he was up higher for me because of the forgiveness scene with Marshall. And it was, I think, critical because he was really the one that kind of, for me, really got I think in the whole situation is, like, he was the George in that forgiveness. Because the whole episode, he was like, I'm going to kill this guy, and I hate this guy, and all of this stuff. And, like, it was that moment between him and Marshall that kind of brought George and Meredith back together. And so, like, that's why he was number 3, even though he didn't do a lot for most of the episode.
Yeah, and I mean, I chose the baby because the baby was just this ginormous symbol of hope between intern family.
I grouped the baby with Melanie.
Yeah. So my number 2 is Marshall because... Same. It's just the way that we thought about it. Like, I put Marshall as number 2 because that's who I associated with that scene more than Big Jim.
Agreed.
So, like, we put the same scene as number 2.
Yes.
You know, like, that's why he's number 2 is that scene, and I just put Big Jim at the bottom because I thought it was more of a, like, Marshall. I don't know. Like, I thought it was a Marshall scene with Big Jim in it, not a Big Jim. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just the way you think about it, but whatever. Yeah. Also, he's Meredith.
Yes. I was gonna say, obviously, I feel like when you're looking at this episode as a whole, the two main, like, the 1 and 2 are going to be Marshall and Melanie because of the whole...
George and Meredith.
Yes, because realistically, they could have had this storyline and, like, the symbolism or whatever, the metaphor, without having the parents and the husband. They just chose to have them in to, like, add kind of some stuff and, you know... But, like, ultimately it is about Marshall and Melanie.
Mm-hmm. Which are number 1.
Mm-hmm. And the baby.
Yeah, that's why my, like, top 3 were... So my number 1 is Melanie.
Yeah, so I did, like, number 1 is, like, Melanie and her baby.
Yeah, well, but that's why my top 3 were Melanie, a.k.a. George, Marshall, aka Meredith, and then the baby, aka intern family.
Yeah.
Well,
So, yeah, kind of the same. We grouped those three as, like, the top.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that we pretty much agreed on that.
Yeah.
I have no make one change, and I would be insulted if you did. Do you?
To not have Millie's real name be Betty, because that's stupid. Her name is Millie. They called her Millie for that the whole episode.
Yeah. And then, like, the wiki was like, it's Betty. And I was like, no.
You're wrong.
No. So next week is Season 2, Episode 25, 17 Seconds, written by Mark Wilding, directed by Daniel Minahan. And guys, I know that I said Season 2, Episode 11 is my favorite just everyday episode of Grey's Anatomy, but I think this might be the greatest written episode, just one single episode, one single concept of Grey's Anatomy to ever exist. I think that 26 and 27 are kind of like a two-part thing. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
And I think that The Bomb is a two-part thing.
Yes.
And I think that Season 2, Episode 11 is a great everyday episode where it's like...
Nothing, there's not a bomb, there's not a huge Denny moment,
Yeah. But I think Season 2, Episode 25 is one of... If this week's episode was flawless, I don't even know how to describe what next week's is, because it is so perfect.
I was about to say, I almost, in some ways, 225 is almost better than the finale.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Well, because as the great poet J.J. Abrams has said, mystery boxes or like questions or cliffhangers are always better than the answer. Mm-hmm. Always better than watching the outcome, Yeah. I honestly think that 225 is it's definitely in the top 3 greatest episodes of Grey's Anatomy.
And again, like I was saying, if this week's episode was Alan Pompeo being like, I own the show, bitch, 25 is Katherine Heigl being like, no, I own it.
And you know what? I kind of agree.
But we'll get there.
Just get ready, because I could talk about that episode for years. So to get in touch with us, you can on Twitter at greysanatomyuncut for the podcast. Our individual accounts are at hazard_Emily, at Anderson_Becca. We have a website where all of our episodes are posted, and you can make a comment on the individual episode that we check. It's greysanatomyuncut.home.blog. And our email for kind of like longer questions or comments, or to just, get in touch with us, is greysanatomyuncut@gmail.com. Also, if you would rate and review us on iTunes, we actually got a few more ratings, so that's kind of cool. It's nice to know that people are rating us and all that, so
thanks, guys.
Awesome. And I think that's it. I'll see you next week, I guess.
Bye.